Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the ninth episode of Kuch Coffee, Kuch Knowledge webinar series. I'm Archit, a data scientist at Internchala, and I'll be your host for today. Today, we'll be discussing how to build a career in machine learning with Mr. Ashish Pal. So, Ashish is a machine learning engineer at Twilio, and he has more than 5 years of experience in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science. He's also an AIML coach and a mentor and has impacted over 2,500 students and working professionals in transforming their careers in machine learning and data science domain. A very warm welcome, sir. It's a privilege
Thanks.
to have you for the session, and I hope you are excited to share your learning experience with the students.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Archit, for the warm introduction. I'm really excited to be here, and let's see what other questions students have. And I would like to really share what are my learnings and how my journey was there in the data science and AI field. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So, thank you, Ashish. Before we move on to interviewing our guests, some of you must be wondering what machine learning actually is. So, with the advancement in technology and increase in digitization in all the fields and industries, machine learning, as we all know, has become one of the most sought after skills of this decade. It is a branch of data science that allows the user to feed an immense amount of data to a computer algorithm. And then that computer algorithm analyzes and makes data driven predictions, recommendations, and decisions, which are basically based upon the data that we have input. So, moving on to our interviewing the guest, I'll be asking a few questions to Ashish. So, my first question to you is so, data science and machine learning are one of the most in demand skills since the last few years. So, what is the reason for this sudden spike of machine learning related roles throughout the world?
Okay. Yeah. So that's a really great question, and I think the first thing which even when I started, like the roughly I remember around 2016, 17, the data science was becoming the sexiest job of 21st century. Right. That was the few quotes which used to come, and many people just get fascinated with that world. But now understand why this boom is coming. I'll break it down into the three major say the breakthrough which has happened in recent years. First one is the data. Okay, so if you look at the amount of data which we have generated over few years, like maybe after 2012 and 11, the maybe because of a lot of factors like the digitization and the social media and the e-commerce and I'll say everything is moving into the cloud part, right? So the whole digitization and all this different industry which has come up, especially the social media part, right? The amount of data and the type of data which we are generating is so huge that we have never generated that data over like for for the years which we have, like the civilization was there. So that much amount of data is being getting generated. That's the major reason. Another reason, or because the reason is the computing power. If you look at the kind of machines which we have right now, like our mobile phones and even our laptops, are so much sophisticated that they can handle huge amount of data and they can process huge amount of data in seconds. So we have got a huge computing power thanks to the Intel, Nvidia, and all the big companies out there, right? They have made this possible. And last one is the AI advancements and the kind of research which has happened. So AI was there even in 80, it was there from 1800 to even in 90s it was there. But because of all these limitations of data and the computing power, they were not able to get the breakthrough in a lot of different applications which we are right now seeing. So all these advancement which has happened and a lot of algorithms and even a lot of you can say different kind of like the AI has beaten a lot of world players in chess or AlphaGo, and we have seen that they have shown such kind of supernatural power thing, right? That has already been possible of all these things, and even the industries have now realized the potential of this data which they already have, and what are the new applications which they can build around this can utilize their own data, and even can build applications which was just getting limited because of all the other factors which were there. So that has led to the complete, you can say, transformation in across the industry, and every industry is realizing this potential of data and machine learning, and that's why we are seeing the boom, which is in both sides, like even the work and even in the jobs, we can see that there is a quite shift happening in terms of data.
Yes, true, Ashish. I definitely agree with the fact that we are generating a lot of data, and with a lot of organizations moving moving from physical office spaces to work from home, a lot of payments being digitized because of COVID thing. We are generating even more amount of data than we used to generate earlier.
Yeah.
So, uh, absolutely correct point you have said. So, my next question to you would be, what kind of industries and companies can use machine learning?
Okay, so I'll give you the answer in this way. Like, there is no foundation right now. Like, what kind of industries can use machine learning? I'll say right now we have reached to the point where every industry or domain is actually utilizing or even trying to use machine learning. They are either in different stages. They are in exploring stage, or maybe they are in research stage, or maybe they are in actually building some product. So there is no industry which is, I'll say, is not looking up into the machine learning or data science space, or I'll say there's no domain which is being left. Now coming up to what are the different domains where we're seeing that maturity wise, right? So if you look at the social media, like Facebook and your Instagram, YouTube, right, all the big social media platforms out there, they have been built on that only. So they are in way ahead in maturing stage, what I'll say, in terms of data science and AI. Whereas there are a lot of sectors, like maybe if you say telecom and maybe healthcare has got a real boost in last 2 years, and maybe you can say due to pandemic and a lot of other factors, which has actually the people in that space has realized that we really need to utilize this space to in order to automate and maybe bring some new use cases. So healthcare is, because it's a very highly regulated field. Then you see the retail, right? E-commerce websites like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, they are way ahead in utilizing all this power, and especially your OTT platforms and maybe like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and maybe all others, right? They have a huge amount of data, so they are way ahead in implementing those use cases and uh, getting a good, you can say, projects out there and impacting the customers. Few domains which are still, I think, struggling and trying to get into, I'll say, which is very difficult also, like for example real estate businesses, right? And maybe the design aspects of those things, and maybe the hotel management industry out there, right? They're the few which is very driven and very close to the like the human touch, right? They are kind of still doing. Fintech is also getting revolutionized completely, so there also a lot of work is happening in uh, fintech and telecommunication. These two are still getting into I'll say in early stage right now.
Okay, okay. So, what are the some of the exciting projects that can require the application of machine learning? If you can share some examples.
Okay. So there are plenty of I think use cases now, depending upon what problem you're trying to solve. So major thing is like everybody need to understand this. The best part about machine learning and data science is we are not trying to build some machine learning or like the people think like we are just trying to solve it using machine learning or AI. Like the major thing is solving the problem statement. That is more important to any business, or to like to anyone who really want to utilize this technology, right? The major aim is to use the solve the problem, and they really don't care how you are going to solve this problem. Now, how machine learning can really help is where you have an enormous amount of data, right? Where humans can't process like a billions of transactions, which is happening maybe in a day, right? And you can't manually just understand and go through that data, because it won't even fit into your any kind of format like Excel or any other tool which you can even just look at that, right? those kinds of transactions where billions of transactions are happening, like especially for fraud detection, or maybe understanding like there isn't some anomaly in the data, right? Those kinds of use cases where the machine learning is really powerful. Second is such kind of sophisticated, or you can say high processing data like image, audio, and text, right? Which is not is rule based thing. You can't just go through the text and make it like, okay, this is going to be like understanding the sentiment of the text, right? Somebody might be using, okay, good, not good, right? So these two words have being correlated, are having a totally different you can say meaning itself. So those cases where it's very difficult to use only the software engineering way of, or a rule based ways of putting up the logic, right? Those are the fields which requires a huge amount of machine learning projects. But some of the fascinating projects to me, and which I really like, especially in data science and AI, is like how they are really impacting the healthcare space, because it's a very difficult space. I've worked there, and I really appreciate the kind of work goes behind understanding the anatomy, and maybe taking an image and understanding any disease out there, right? It's very difficult. Now if we can automate some of those space by using some of these like sophisticated algorithms, which we can say, right, we can really give a very good like something remarkable thing which we can really bring to our society. So that is pretty much I'll say some projects which I really think really going to impact.
Okay. Seems like it's a really versatile area of interest. And so, how do you think machine learning can be used in the, for example, banking sector? What kind of data can be used to process? If you can, if you could give an example of the same,
Okay.
like a case in form of a case study.
Okay, so there are different ways actually how the data science and AI is being used, especially across industries. Like what kind of division or department are trying to solve that problem, right? Marketing team will try to use the data in a different way, whereas maybe a security team will try to use the data, or maybe the R&D team who are developing some new product, right, for the fintech will try to use the same similar kind of data, or maybe you can say an ensemble of data for their different use cases. But some of the most common use cases which is out there is like, one is the fraud detection. Now you see the amount, as you have already mentioned, right? Because we are in this pandemic, like it's still it's going on, right? And the amount of digital transactions has happened, has spiked at another level. So now in order to understand whether there's a legitimate transaction or it's a fraud transaction, it's a big, very big use case across the all finance industry. Second is like, again, if you look at how the business model of any finance or bank work is like, they are not getting any making money from any your saving account, or say selling you any other thing. The main business is either giving you credit card or loan, right? So how they can convert those customers into like selling out their different products which they have in their bucket, right? So a kind of cross selling thing. So how they can understand, okay, if my customer is having a same account, why he's buying a home loan or any other car loan from any other bank, why don't he buy it? So a target you can say customer acquisition part. Then in the churn prediction part, like many customers are losing also, so that is also part where you want to understand. And so I think these are the very much broadly use cases which is across in the fintech industry which is there. Apart from that, then if you can go to the stock market part, that's a totally different ball game, where they are using a lot of trading understanding, and using the bots to automate the complete trading part. So that's a second sector about in the fintech.
Okay. So, as we know that machine learning uses various complex algorithms to make predictions, right? So,
Yeah.
how are these algorithms written? And do you have to build new algorithms every time you work on a machine learning project, or how is it so?
Okay, so I think we have reached to a quite mature state right now when we are sitting in 2021, where we don't have to write everything in from scratch. There are a lot of frameworks which has already been being there, like thanks to again Google and Facebook. Especially in deep learning space, we have TensorFlow, PyTorch, and some other frameworks are also there. So they have made our life pretty easy, where we don't have to write every single piece of code, or a piece of algorithm, like. to start off. So there are a lot of on the shelf algorithms which is already there. Now it totally depends upon the use case which we are trying to build, and maybe some of the algorithms fit particular use case and some algorithms fit another use case, right? So we have as a starting point, we do have a good amount of framework and you can say models already there. Now depending upon how sophisticated your work is, and whether it's a totally research area which has never been research or being you can say nobody has worked it on this before, you will try to tweak it and then try to come up with some your own algorithm, or maybe an ensemble of different models you will try to choose and try to get to the best result. But yeah, there is again, if you are in totally research, if we'll talk about, and maybe a particular domain which has not never been like very less work is there, we'll try to come up with some new algorithm. But majority time we are not going to get into that level to maybe try to come up with some totally new algorithm or kind of totally new architecture every time. Because again, if you remember what I said is, most of the time our aim is to solve the problem with the best way we can. It really doesn't matter if we'll try to come up with a new algorithm only or not. So yeah, that's the reason.
Okay, so usually most of the things are already done, and we just have to feed the data to the algorithm, right? And mostly we are using languages like R and Python to accomplish our machine learning related tasks, and it's not like other programming languages like C and Java, wherein we have to write all the programs from scratch. We can just call a few libraries and get things done. We should just know what we need to
Yeah,
use, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, is there any prerequisite knowledge that a student should have before entering the realm of machine learning?
Okay. So first of all, I think there's a kind of journey which you have to go through certain skills which is being required for being in data science and machine learning space. The prerequisite, I'll say, have a good programming knowledge and a good basic mathematics and statistics knowledge. I think which we all have being like from our curriculum, which is common across till 12th, I'll say, or maybe in some amount in engineering, right? Some level of math which we go through and we don't realize, and we will say it's never going to be used. But that's you can say the funny part is a data science algorithm as using lot of those mathematics which we are actually being using in our engineering mathematics. So if you really are there in that space, try to make them as perfect as possible. And also the programming part, like many people are getting into this field just because they are feeling like okay, we really don't want into the programming part, and yeah, we really hate it. Okay, I can say to some extent, like you really don't have to be in that level of expert maybe, but if you're really going to be an expert, you will have an always have an upper edge to anyone who is already there in that field, right? So programming and the basic mathematics, I'll say, is the prerequisite. How good you are at that will really help you in going forward. And also the data understanding part, right? Like think from the as a data scientist per, uh, only, right? Like wear that hat and try to solve. Okay, I really have to solve this problem. How can I solve this problem given this data or given the technology or some idea I have, right? So when you will start thinking from that perspective, you will not be in a kind of fresher mode. So you will actually start thinking, and how it will come maybe by reading more blogs, reading articles, and through that, right? And that's how you will even see in the interviewer also put you in some spot where they will give you some hypothetical scenarios, and they will try to understand how deep you have or how deep you can go in solving that particular problem. So that I'll say the prerequisite parts would be three things, like having a data understanding or science domain understanding, mathematics, and computer science basics at least.
Okay, okay. So, as you mentioned that some of the concepts are covered in engineering. So, recently we have also seen non-engineers also taking up the career in machine learning. So, uh, how difficult would you say that would be for a non-engineering background person or a person from the commerce background to pursue a career in machine learning?
Okay, so I think I'll tell a little bit about the job profiles a little bit later on. But just to answer your question now, even I have seen a lot of these things, and even I have mentored some students who are totally from non-technical background, like not even from engineering or even from computer science. They are from like commerce, MBA, or maybe like totally different domains, right? And that's a really good part, and that's an interesting part. You can see like even the CA, somebody who is a professional CA I have mentored, and he was getting into the data science and AI because he was looking up how to use this data to create some applications for his use case. So the thing is how difficult it is going to be, yeah, a little bit, because somebody who's already having a good understanding of computer science and having an engineering will always have some of the basics being covered there already. So they know how to write a software, or maybe write a simple code, right? And how to how a computer, or you can say the things like data structure and basic things, they are being already being covered. Okay, so they will have little bit upper edge. So if you're totally new to this domain and have no background in engineering or computer science, it's going to be little bit tough. Okay, but the basics, if you'll try to start with like the good thing is like the Python. So if you look at compare it Python with any other programming language, it really have a smooth curve, right? It it do not have that hard way of like if you go to C++ and Java, you really get scared after 2 weeks, right? Because things get really difficult in just understanding the syntax part. But Python really provides you that comfort zone, so you can easily learn. And then after maybe a 2 3 weeks, like all would be a same stage, because you don't you can again you have to go through the same data science, machine learning, and the statistics part. So I'll say then it really doesn't matter. The starting part would be like you can say it's going to be a little bit a cold start problem. So you will have to push yourself a little bit if you are totally new to this domain. But after that time, you will be in the you can say driving seat. The one thing I advise, and when the good thing is like you are not coming from a computer science or maybe an engineering kind of mindset and background, you would be having a good knowledge about some of the domain. Like if I talk about somebody is in e-commerce, will really good fit for a fintech or maybe a banking sector, because we will have a more understanding or domain knowledge from that perspective. Like if you are already in MBA, or maybe you're coming from any other domain, right? You will have some good knowledge about that particular domain. So you will have that knowledge, which might be helpful in your future work. So yeah, it's kind of you can say
Okay, so
balance.
before we move on to the next question, we have a few questions from our audience. So,
Okay.
Shivani is asking which is better, data science or artificial intelligence and machine learning, which has more scope?
Okay, so I think when I've started, there was no role as such of machine learning and maybe the AI ML engineers. And right now, I'll say what are the bigger roles which is there coming up. Like you're talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then data scientist. You have data analyst. All these roles are coming up. So I'll say they are just a kind of an overlap of each other, right? Various industry or various job description, if you look into, right, they have some of the skills which is already there, and they kind of just use it. It totally depends upon what work you are doing. Okay, so always look and ask your employer what kind of work you will be doing and what is the job description. So to go to the job description, don't directly go into the job role, because sometimes the industry is evolving, right? So some of the job roles are really defined, and they have a they know what they are really asking for. Then they will clearly say you. Some of the job roles are they require skill, and they will try to get all the different kind of lifting from you, like from the data engineering part to data analysis and data scientist and machine learning and maybe ML ops work. I have gone through that stage, and I have done all this kind of work complete. So that's how you can say you will have to be multitasking some of the time, so to understand which space you are really comfortable in, right? So you can look into that space. All the domain, if you're talking about like the data part, where the mostly data engineers, big data engineers, data analysts, right, jobs are there, are really important as you going to compare it to the machine learning engineers or AI ML engineer, or you call as little bit like ML ops part is also there, or data scientist, which is being expected to be having both the knowledge of about data and the machine learning, which is how it's being there. Okay, so first think where you are more comfortable with, like if you're really good with the data part or really good with the machine learning and software engineering part. choose that and then try to go into that. Okay, and then try to look at the job description and the work which you are going to do, not the title. Really doesn't matter. I've been to data science and now I'm in machine learning engineer. The work is pretty much almost the same. It just the titles keeps on changing. Important thing is what work you are going to do.
Okay, so you talked about data scientists and machine learning engineers. So are there any other profiles related to machine learning and data science that a candidate can get into?
Okay, so you are talking about in the, so if you talk about this whole data domain, and AI is a very, you can say, a coming up a totally new domain itself. Apart from that, if I'll talk about in digital space, right? If you talk about the complete digital revolution we are happening, and we are kind of moving towards an industry 4.0. Okay, so there are a lot of other domains which is also being equal, and you can think of like it's like your laptop or maybe a robot, right? Or that's what we see that an Iron Man. So if you see that the heart or the brain of or the brain of that particular machine is kind of in AI, because that is making all the decisions. But there are a lot of other domains where AI cannot work in this of its own, right? It needs all other things. So full stack engineering is in always an evergreen field where and just the web development or software app development will always be there. Okay, it has become more matured now because it's becoming more of a full stack engineer's work. Second is like your crypto. So that's a totally new world, and crypto uh, blockchain, right? I'll say the blockchain, not more of a crypto, because there where the work is all there, where how to write the blockchains and the concepts about that. That is also the totally new domain, which is again booming. Another is IoT. If I'll talk about we used to just see small works, but now IoT is a big boom which is coming up, which is going to be work within AI, because a lot of data is getting streamlined from there only. So IoT is one. Cloud, I think we all know, because 90% of even our work, most of the work which is happening is in our other cloud, right? So the cloud like AWS, the Google GCP, and your Microsoft Azure, IBM, all these cloud platforms are there which are providing you all these services. Amazon, I have I think more than 100 of just platforms out there in their AWS, where you do machine learning, whether you want to create a digital twin, whether you want to create AR, VR, everything is already been there on the shelf. So if you are somebody who is really good in understanding the cloud part, you can become a cloud expert and then can leverage those technologies and can cater anybody who really want to use those services. Cloud is there. Then I'll not go into other fields which are digital marketing and all is there. I think everybody is a little bit aware, so I'll not go, but I'll limit myself to the tech part. So these are the again growing field. And yeah, and data science, if I'll talk about, like, data science domain itself has a lot of jobs inside it, like starting from the data engineering profile and big data engineering, where you really have to understand the data and maybe working out with the big data tools like maybe your Spark and Hadoop, Hive, and all those tools from where the data is coming into the pipeline and then maybe being used by your data engineering team or maybe analyst or data scientist. So they are the big data engineering. Second is the data analyst and business analyst role. So earlier, a lot of roles were used to be into the business analyst role. Now it's getting overlapped. A lot of data analyst and business analyst role is being are coming up across the industry, and they also require you to have good data knowledge across with some business knowledge. Then comes your, you can say, data scientist and machine learning engineers role. So machine learning engineer role is also coming up very, for a lot of freshers can easily get into the machine learning roles, because if you have a good software engineering background and a good programming knowledge, you can easily pick up. So but still, I'll say, in order to move parallelly, you should have data knowledge, but you can quickly move on to the machine learning algorithms, can build and contribute on all those algorithms, and at the same time parallelly can learn about the data pipeline. And then the data scientist sits where he has a more understanding about the data, how it's flowing, also have the machine learning algorithms. And then you can call as machine learning or AML engineer. I told you it's one of the same thing. And then later on coming up the ML ops engineers role, right, which I'm seeing more nowadays, which is coming up because uh, all the algorithms has been built, and there are we might have like thousands of algorithms which is, and products are already there, but it's not going to the production, right? Only handful of those are able to make to the production. So that's a big challenge. So here the MLOps engineers come into the picture, which is very similar to DevOps, but in machine learning. So you should have machine learning knowledge plus DevOps tools knowledge also to some extent, not in depth. So you can help them in deploying and create easily, then maintaining it those projects, and then again it's a cycle, like it will keep on learning and evolving over the period of time. So that's how you can say how the data and the kind of projects are flowing, the roles are also getting streamlined. So pick where you feel you are more comfortable with, like if we are, and then accordingly you can choose the job profiles.
Okay. So, Sagar from our students have a question. Which language is better for machine learning, Python or R?
Okay, so preferably I'll say right now the how the shift has happened, like R was there, R is still there, but it's more from the research or statistician for how they use, right? So it's really best for those things. But again, down the line when you are using the production level and creating some product out there, right, you really need a good programming language who can get into and can glue it with your infrastructure where you already have it, right? So in that case Python has shown a very good you can say good work and is really being used across the industry. So Python I'll recommend if you really want to get into. And if you'll see other programming languages like even C++ and all these big packages which you see NumPy and all has been actually built on the C++. And uh, across sometimes we see that in order to productionize your code we have to even convert them into some binaries and C++. So that's a second part. So still those languages is not like the Python is going to take over the world, but it's really helpful and you can say it's really good for starting off and creating some good POCs which can really move ahead from there. So I'll recommend Python any day as compared to R.
Yeah, plus the community out there is more immense
Is
as far as
good,
Python is
good.
concerned.
Yeah.
Okay, so so another question asked by Priyanka is that resources to learn AI, ML, data science from basics with hands-on projects. So where can the students get those kind of resources?
Okay. Good. So I'm also trying to create some of the works. I've already started the website. I'll maybe put it in the comment after there. So there are two ways, right? First thing is if you are a college student or already into some of the field like computer science and all, first go through those basics first. I'll always recommend them. And now in order to learn the data science in AI, there are two things, like there are already lot of information which is there on the net, right? Like a lot of mocks which is there and a lot of courses are there, okay, prepaid, there are a lot of things are there, a lot of noise is also there. So even I have gone through and I have invested a huge amount of in learning through different ways. Like even I have taken free courses, even I have paid courses I have taken. So it boils down, I'll not say the one thing because it boils down to what you really want and how comfortable you are, right? It's a journey, okay? It's like if you have to fly from like Mumbai to Dubai, right? Or maybe like let's take it Rajasthan to Mumbai, right? How you can go? You can go through train, you can go by flight, you can go by road, you can even go by just walking on a cycle, right? So there are different ways. You have to decide where you really want to get into, or what exactly the best route is going to be. If you really are okay with taking some paid course and you really think like that will really gonna put you into the mode of like after 6 months or 1 year you will be able to do that, take that. Else you think you're really motivated, you just need to understand what are the skills are there, you're highly motivated and you can do that. There are a lot of learnings or the online courses like Coursera is there, okay? Udemy has like the best selling courses are there. Udacity, if you have not heard of it, Udacity has a lot of free courses out there, okay? Free courses, I'm not talking about their paid courses or nano degree courses. Coursera has you can even apply for the scholarship there in Coursera. And then you have NPTEL, like I don't think most of you would have heard of it, but all the courses on NPTEL are from IITs and other big and they give you the proper certificate. You have to pass the exam to get those certificate, and for the certificate they hardly charge you, I think 1100 and 1200. Even I have done my some deep learning certificates way back from NPTEL even after doing some courses. So these are the few I'll say. Then there's some YouTube videos are already there. some books are there like from statistics, and for TensorFlow you have already some good books which I can recommend. If you want, I can give you a list. So these are the few portals which are there, which will which is almost kind of free, or have a minimum fees to get into, but they are really good. And yeah, they have a really good content, and as the same time, if you really want to get a certificate or something, you can really get from those websites also.
Yeah, even we at Internchala, we offer a lot of relevant courses related to data science and machine learning,
Great.
like machine learning, neural networks, deep learning. So the candidates can also log into Internchala and join the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, great. So I just one thing I want to add, right? How it really impacts is like you can get the course. There are two things. Like one thing is like online course. If you can really complete that, is really great. Most of the time, what happens is like if you just taken some online course like Udemy. I have my 5 6 courses which I have taken way back. I've never completed them. So that's the bigger problem when you have taken some like self-paced courses. Most of the people don't complete them. Like just with that, like how you can get is like if you can really get a mentor which have already gone through it, and if you can learn from that, or if you have a group of people, how you really do that in college, right? If you have a small group where you can just share and learn, and like weekly you will have some calls and meetings, right? And then you are actually working on some projects that will really give you a totally different experience by just seeing a video. That is something which I can say. To have that kind of experience, if you can have, that will really be like of totally different level.
Okay. So the next question, which has been asked by Abhishek, is that given we have a lot of competition in machine learning and data science, what will help the freshers from this background survive in the long run?
Okay, so one thing which I really think has helped me, and I think be an early mover. How the check mark say, it really doesn't matter like how many people are doing, but be an early mover in that particular field. Now we have reached where AI. When we talk about 2016, 17, there was things like it's just an hype, it won't last, right? And that happens with a lot of other technologies also over the period of time. So right now, everybody have utilized, and you can see the kind of boom is happening. That might happen, and then industry may get mature, and then maybe new transition will happen, and some new, you can say, niche fields will come up into that. Okay, so think where you fit the best, right? It's not only like AI, but AI will work along with some other things also. Like think where you have an USP. Okay, you really good at maybe gaming, or maybe AR VR, or maybe some other, like you're really good at programming, or if you're really good at writing content, or and like analyzing data, or or any other things, right? Look at that skill and how it can really fit where you can get the job roles, and or you can help the business out there. Think in that way, not from only just looking, okay, I want to just get into the data science or thing, right? Have a goal where you think where you will be like able to contribute more. Then this data science or maybe any other tool or technology out there is just kind of tool actually, which will enable you to give that part. So yeah, there are a lot of noise, a lot of competition out there, but again, you think how you are gonna make yourself different from your peer or anybody else who is coming up out there. So think, yeah, that I'll say.
Okay. So, what is the salary range that a fresher can expect in India for any entry level ML job, and how is the growth curve 3 to 4 years down the line?
Okay. So I think right now, I think the whole IT sector has seen seeing a little bit boom. So it's a little bit good right now if you're getting into the good organization. But just to give you more from the number perspective, right? How I'll say, okay, it's there, but it's good from any other software engineering. If you're getting into pure machine learning or data science work, if it is there, it's a good organization or startup. So I'll say starting is minimum. I think 6 to 7 lakh is there as per my knowledge, and maybe from the LinkedIn and all there. So I think the minimum is there, but and yeah, and upper there is no end. I think depends upon what your background is, whom you're offering, like sorry, who is offering you. Like if it's a startup or maybe Facebook or Google, if they are paying, then there is no upper end. So you can get any other, like any number which you can even think of, you can get. So that's how it is. And from 3 to 4 years, like if you are really growing and if you have a good profile and work and experience, yeah, I think you can expect almost 50-60% hike, like easily, which is there, and even again more, right? That's why I say it's totally depending upon which industry or what kind of companies you are going.
Okay, so 5 years down the line, if a candidate is into machine learning, so do you have a range in mind that a candidate can expect?
First of all, I think it depends from where you're starting, right? That's a something, because even I have seen that it really boils down to from where you start, okay? And then I can't put it you, but you can easily get 100 to 150% hike easily, like that's what I'll say. But where
Okay.
you are right now, or in which kind of company you're going, because there are certain companies who have their limitations, right? Okay, you can understand from the job roles, right? At that level you can't get beyond that, okay? But there are some companies like a startup, right? Startup can give you anything, because they'll give you a kind of certain percentage, or maybe they will have funding, and maybe 10 people are working in that startup, right? So they can, you can easily get that particular amount. Maybe a kind of company which is having which is grown up, so they have their own base. So I can compare on that basis of just amount. And it really what really matters is the work also, right? What kind of quality work you are doing, right? What level of work, or the work which you're doing, how it really impacting, it's like in the business. So there are a lot of factors which gets played. So but again, it's much rewarding than any other thing if you are also growing, and the work which you are doing is really good and is being required by the industry at that point of time. So it will always be best in the industry.
Okay, so can you throw some light on the roadmap to learning and making career in ML? There's a question that has been asked by one of the students, Kunal.
Okay. So first of all, I think two things. Start with the programming first. Okay, have a good programming understanding. Choose any language. Python is preferable, but even if you have a good understanding on any programming language, start with that. Have good concepts of basics of programming. Because one thing which I regret, like I am not from computer science background and I'm from electronics, okay, and I have not emphasis more on actual programming and data structure and algo. And that has in some of the interviews I have seen there's a kind of roadblocker for me, okay? That's something hard truth which I think nobody will talk to you about that, but I have faced it, and that's why I talk about it. So try to get as good as in the programming. Because what happened, like if you're really good, maybe, right, you're really excellent in your data science and machine learning part, but some of the times you will see the first second interview rounds itself are is very basics, and at a good maybe computer science, and that level. And if you're not able to crack those, only you'll not get the chance of showing what really potential you have, right? So don't let that thing happen, okay? It's a kind of thing which is there. So make that skill. Have a good programming or computer science knowledge, okay? Spend at least 1-2 months and practice some good questions. There are a lot of portals out there, okay? Then have a good understanding about statistics, okay? Statistics about how maybe basics till hypothesis testing and all that, not beyond that, okay? Have a good understanding of statistics, and then comes your machine learning part. Okay, then all the algorithms which is required to have good, and then some good algorithms. Now how you will practice it, again, have 1 or 2 good projects. It could be a good Kaggle competition which is having a really rich data and good problem to solve, or some hackathon data which is there. Maybe there is analytics vidya, maybe the intenshala and other keeps on hosting, or maybe you have hacker rank and other hacker earth and all which keeps on hosting, right? So have a good hackathon, or maybe some good project which you are really can show that you have really spent at least a week or two in implementing whatever you have learned in that, right? And then understanding how that particular project is really helpful, like evaluating your work. Because right now when you participate in hackathon, you just submit and you don't think. But if you're really working on a project, you will have to show it to the business, your client, to an upper management, and then they have a lot of cross questions and all those things. So there the learnings happen, and students, or maybe the people who are not into that field, does not get that experience out there. And then interviewers really focused on understanding what the problem you were solving, and how that is different from why you have choose that particular approach, why you have choose that particular algorithm, how you think like that particular algorithm result is really good, right? How you can make sure that this is really good. Okay, you're saying me the 90% accuracy or maybe some particular metrics, right? How you can prove that? So all those things, if you can create a kind of good story around your project, right? Have a kind of story around your profile and your project, which anybody can buy it, right? That is pretty much. So there's two things: skills part, and then maybe a project or experience which shows your storyline. Which, like, if somebody is asking, hey, tell me about your work in just 3-4 minutes, if you can convey the complete story what you have worked on, that will at least give a good start.
Okay. So, as we have the shortage of time, I'll just take one last question. I'll just ask one last question from our students. So, the question is by Sharan. Is post graduation required to excel in data science and ML field, or we can just have certification courses?
Okay, so the hard truth is industry is actually being changing. There are a lot of companies and roles which strictly require either postgraduate or PhD. Like, they have a strict requirement. There are a lot of companies which you would have seen that they have a strict requirement from tier one, tier two colleges only, right? But this is changing. What I'm saying, it's changing. So I'll say, no, it's not always required, but for some of the roles it is required. So that's like, if you're really aiming for some of those roles, then you can really look up for. But that will not that if you'll not have it, and you'll not if you have not done masters or maybe any PhD or something, and you will not be able to get into this field, that is not there. So that is not that something you'll not be able to get. You will have to get it like a kind of certificate or a degree only to get into this field. No, that is not there. But yeah, in certain roles which is being strictly they have mentioned, then yeah, you might not be able to you can say clear get the clear. But that is very specific. Again, industry is changing. A lot of industries and companies are changing their rules. So yeah, hopefully things will change. It's more on a skill base. Again, it's always going to be on a skill base. As far we are seeing right now, right? How many people are getting? A lot of people are actually going beyond the traditional education part, right? And they're doing
Yeah,
really good.
true.
Yeah. So
So we have another question by Bishal, and what is the right way to approach any data science or ML problem? And could you please break each step and explain them in details?
okay. It's a big thing. I'll try to keep it in as short as possible. So, first thing, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Okay. Look what is the domain around it. Try to talk to that person. If you have an understanding of domain, that's good. Otherwise, try to talk to the domain people, how they are actually solving their problem right now, right? Because I worked at in last company when I was working at Philips, I was totally new to the healthcare domain. So now, in order to understand the healthcare and then the anatomy of and the humans, right? You nearly need a doctor to make that thing make you sure. Okay, this is what it exactly it is, right? You can't even annotate the data, or you can't even do anything on data if you don't have an understanding. So have that industry or domain experts and SMEs with you. Understand the data first, right? Like, how much if you can understand the data and the domain and the problem solving, and how they're solving it till now. Like, if they are actually solving it or not. Like, it's a totally new thing. Think that, like, maybe they have some rule based or thing how it's working, like if it's really good, what kind of problem they are facing in all those things. So have a complete background story about the domain and data part. Understand data as much as you can, right? Then try to see what exactly how much data you have. Like, if this is the only data you have, or there are other ways from where you can get some more information, other data. Try to get as much data and information into the, it's an iterative process. You can't just get it into the one day fit, right? But now you have got some data. You need to start off, like, create a problem statement, like create a business problem first. What exactly the business is needing it to the end. Then maybe a technical problem, like what exactly you are trying to going to solve, right? You will say, I am doing a classification regression problem. Business doesn't really care about what kind of technical thing you really want, right? They want to get to solve a business problem. So first have that thing in mind, then get into your technical part. Then think what are the tools and technologies you already have. Some of the work which has been already done, try to go and research, read all the research papers and all, which has been already being done by somebody. What are their results and all? If you can get something from that, it's really good. If not, then try to see how you can use the data, create your. Then here the pipeline also comes, like cleaning up the data, understanding the data, creating more features from it, then trying out with different machine learning algorithm and see how the results are coming up. It's just like a baseline POC you have done. So with that POC, you'll get some confidence. Okay, it's something which is really doable, or it's something which is a potential part like which we can do. Then you will from there, after showing it to maybe getting an approval, or maybe you're getting a confidence on that, try to see if you can get a more bigger data or some good data again, and try to iterate it, and then try to again use the complete part, maybe some good algorithm, try to optimize those algorithm, or coming up with some or trying out with some new advanced maybe deep learning or something which do really improve or not. Then you again take it to some production level and try to see how it is actually working into real. Then also there's a deployment phase where you just keep it like a shadow deployment and observe it how it is working. And then if you are really confident, you will see. That's why there are a lot of updates happening in Amazon. They keeps on trying in the back end. We really don't know which is there. They must be trying out some feature. If it works, they will push it to actual feature. Otherwise they will roll out. Like LinkedIn have stopped stories right now. That's what I'm hearing, and I've got a mail. So they might have tried it out, it's not working. They will try to come up with something new and more fun, which they will interact more customers. So yeah, that's how you can say it's being rolled out. Hope that will have answered your question.
Yes, quite a long and interesting pipeline that machine learning has to offer.
Yeah.
So, any advice you may have for the young aspirants who are looking to get into this field?
Okay. First thing is like it's a very fascinating field because you see something new and something like interesting part. That's a good thing because that will keep you motivating. Even I have even going to the basic. I have actually learned run few models, and I think, oh, that's a machine learning. I can really do it right. That's how it was there, and that's a good part. But stick to the basics and try give some time and go through all the basics, and then start implementing it and try to look for the work. Don't just skip some of the steps directly, because somewhere down the line you'll again have to come back. Like I remember I have skipped a lot of things in statistics, but again when I've actually gone into that, I have again have to go back. So try to follow the step and whatever the kind of structure which is there right in the data science pipeline. It will really help you. That's the one thing I'll say. And give at least some time, and then start looking up for the projects and work. Spend some time there at least. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll now end the webinar. And in case
Sure.
this is for all the students, if you are interested to pursue a career in machine learning, we at Internshala offer beginner-friendly training in machine learning. So you can check out our trainings website for the same. And thank you, Ashish, for joining us. It
Sure.
was such an informative and engaging session from your side. We
Thanks.
have received a lot of questions from the students, and I hope all the students who have joined us today had a great learning experience. Thank you,
Sure.
everyone, and we hope you have a great day ahead and a great career in MA. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.